Hello and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. Hope everyone is doing well. Today I have 4 Reddit stories for you guys. If I pronounce anything wrong, I do apologize. All credit goes to the original posters of these stories, and I will link them in the description. A creepy guy in apartment complex. I'm really uneasy about the encounter I just had. Any insight would be so appreciated. I, 20 female, live in a large multi-building apartment complex, so there are a lot of neighbors I have never met or seen before. I stopped to pet a cat who roams around the complex while I was taking out the trash, and a man, mid-30s to 40s, I don't know, sees me and approaches me. He says hello and asks how I am. I say hello back and ask him the same, to which he says he is trying to survive the dark and brutal world we live in. So I'm uncomfortably like, yeah. No alarm signaled at this point, but then he goes, so how's the blue Beetle you drive? And I'm immediately feeling creeped, given I've never met or seen this man. Then he asks if I enjoy being a student at the college I attend. At this point, I'm scared and say, "Why would you know that?" And then laughs and says, "Come on, it's obvious." He then begins warning me about how the world is malicious and how people are cruel. He says not to trust anyone and to watch my back, because you never know what people will do in this area. I try to wrap it up and tell him have a good night, and he tries asking for my specific unit and for my name. I deflect and tell him bye again and rush to leave. As soon as I got inside, I started crying and shaking, because I've never had such a bad gut feeling about a person. I'm home alone now and feel beyond creeped out. His only conversation points were casually mentioning information a stranger shouldn't know, and warnings regarding the cruelty of mankind, so altogether, it almost felt like an indirect threat. Please, any outside perspectives on this interaction would be so appreciated. Do I need to worry? I found a camera broken apart outside of a summer home in Tennessee. A girl's body inside. Her eyes had been ripped out and her body turned inside out nearly. The card inside was damaged, but I managed to salvage it. The police don't know how I have this, and this is what was inside of the camera. I'm sorry. Static shows for a moment before a young blonde-looking teen girl appears in front of the camera. Her eyes look tired, with bags under them and dark circles, so dark it looks like she's a skeleton. Soft scratching can be heard outside of the area the girl is in. She looks manic, afraid. She's trembling like a leaf. She looks malnourished as well. I have to be quick. I locked and boarded everything I could, but they're gonna get in eventually. I just don't know when. My name is Hannah Macer. I'm 17 years old. I'm from Tennessee, and I'm the only child of Alan and Sarah Macer. On my 17th birthday, I received a camera. I'm a photographer and often find myself hating my iPhone camera due to how minimal it can be. I was so excited I got a professional camera. My family must really love me. I ended up starting to photograph everything. Just looking around, snapping photos, stuff like that. I eventually printed out the photos and they all looked good, so I decided to hang them on my dream board in my room. As I was hanging up my photos, I suddenly noticed something odd inside of one. Behind one of the people in my photo was a... God, how do I describe it? A shadow, I guess? It was weird. It had no shape, but it also looked humanoid, but in an odd way. I just dismissed it and tossed it. The more I looked at the photos, though, the more I saw. They were in all of them, just barely put in the corner, but they were there. I was a bit freaked out, but thought my camera was the problem, so I ended up just covering up the board for the moment and went to bed. It got so much stranger, though. As the days went on, I kept seeing things in the corner of my eye and hearing whispering. I don't know what the hell was happening, but no one believes me. The chaos started, though, when I was left alone at my parents', so I could study properly. I was tired from the lack of sleep due to the odd shit happening, so I maybe am exaggerating, but the house was so fucking loud. I kept seeing shadows everywhere, trying to get in close, but every time I looked, they seemed to run away from the corner of my eye. I was so scared. I ran to my room and locked the door at one point, hearing the cracking and odd whispers outside. I cried as I waited for it to stop, but I didn't until my family got home. This went on for weeks, more shadows gathering everywhere until I couldn't sleep, and I ended up recording everything with my camera, because they seem to not like it when I use it. It keeps them away, or at least at bay. My family tried to talk to me, but I couldn't tell them. I couldn't tell them it all started with this gift. With the stupid fucking camera. The girl hits the camera and it falls. Static rings for a moment until the girl appears again. The lens now broken and the girl gripping her hair and sobbing. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm just so tired. I can't sleep though. If I show a moment of weakness, they'll tear me apart. I can't go yet. Not yet. The girl pauses as a large thump is heard outside of the room, a small laugh leaving her. Stupid fucking bitch. I locked that away too. The girl runs a hand through her hair before a look of fear returns to her. She gives a sigh and appears to nearly doze off before shooting awake and shaking her head. I decided to come to our summer house to try and keep my family safe. If they find out what's happening, what I saw, they'll be targeted too. Oh God, I'm putting you in danger too. But someone has to know. Someone. Anyone. I came here, though, and locked everything so I could get a few more hours without distractions. Though they followed me here too. Of course they have. I don't know what they are, but they lurk in the shadows, and they're just out of your eye's view. You know they're there. They will kill you. They will make sure you aren't heard from again. If you can, tell my parents I love them, that I'm sorry for acting so strangely. I just need to protect them. I need to keep them safe. It's too late for me. Just tell them that. I think I said it all. Yeah. But to whoever sees us, maybe if we can get enough people to know about these things, we can fight back. Know why they're here. Just keep running. Don't stop. Don't let them know you know they exist. Please, please. The girl takes a moment to adjust the camera before sighing and leaning against the wall, her eyes shutting. She seems to fall asleep. As she does, the camera begins to fuzz over, screaming like no other coming from outside, before the video finally stops. Beyond the bathroom door. I am a skeptic at heart, and I believe that most people, the smart ones anyways, are too. When I was a kid, I used to sit at the old dial-up family computer with my little brother and watch those real ghost encounters videos. They always scared the shit out of us, and after one particularly convincing alien encounter, my brother cried and screamed his little heart out before bed. I was a good big sister then. I sat up with him and explained all the things it had been faked. A bit of makeup, some good lighting, maybe a toy model or two. Those stupid little videos were works of art to us. Our focus shifted away from the fear and onto how they were created. My brother didn't get scared as often as he used to after that. I would have to search much harder to find the really scary stuff on long since blacklisted sites that showed grotesque abominations. Sometimes I'd even scare myself, but all I had to do was watch as he trembled in fear and I felt better. If I really went digging, I'd be able to find the fake ghost hunting videos we made on the old camcorder. It would be the host, walking around the basement with dim lights and faux fear dripping from their voice. My brother would be crouched in the corner, hitting the pipes with a stick or throwing junk across the room. We would eventually scare ourselves, convincing each other that one of those echoing knocks was the real deal. I would run, screaming out of the basement, and shut the door behind me. My brother was younger, slower. He would scream and pound on the door to let out as I laughed. I was a little shit, covering my own fear with the fear of my brother's. 2 years ago, I moved out of our family home and away from my brother. We drifted apart as we aged. He stayed as a recluse in his room most days, and I never saw him. I never called him, not even on his birthday. Like my mom asked, I'm not a good sister anymore. I realize that now. I saw him when I woke up a few hours ago to go to the bathroom. He was just a silhouette at the end of the hall, awkward and lanky in his teenage years. I didn't recognize him at first, and all I could do was run and lock myself in the bathroom. I never even screamed or gasped. Part of me was convinced I'd made it up. The light from outside had been cast on the shadows in just the right way, at just the right time, and my brain just filled with gaps, imagining a familiar figure in the darkness. Then the pipes started groaning, like something was writhing around inside of them. I screamed then, backed up into the corner away from the door, like some wounded little animal. There would be no escape in here. The one window wouldn't even fit my fist through. With my phone in hand, automatically grabbed from the nightstand earlier, I tried to call the police. When it didn't go through, I called my brother instead. I heard it ring from the other side of the door. Instantly, as though it had been some signal, he started pounding on the other side. He screamed in his now much older voice to be let in. He was so scared in the dark and alone. The voice was his, undeniably. But despite the shrieks, there was no fear in his voice. It was almost as if he was reading from a script that wasn't made for him. Though fear made my joints freeze up and my skin prickle, I was angry at the apparent prank. My own brother had broken into my apartment in the early morning and waited for his moment. To what? Teach me a lesson? I yelled through the door, cursed at him to go away and stop being such a child. Then he stopped. No slamming or yelling, no footsteps, just the sound of something hitting the ground. The sound went on for a few long moments before I watched something appear at the bottom of the door, sliding through the crack so slowly. I barely noticed it at first. I moved closer, still shaky in the knees, to see what he was sliding under the door. I watched with my hands gripping the side of the sink for support and realized in horror that it was black tufts of hair sliding under the gap of the door. It was only when I saw the top of his forehead I realized what was happening. He's sliding under the door. God, I don't know what's happening. I've been sitting here for hours. I'm blocked in and forced to watch as my brother, or whatever the fuck that is, slides inch by inch underneath the door frame. His eyes, his nose, his gaping wide mouth, his torso is almost through now too. The skin ripples as it moves like some grotesque insect. He's crawling somehow, flat on his back and staring up at the ceiling. I'm too scared to move or even blink. I can't look away, because with each inch he advances, he's closer to getting in, and I don't know what I'll do when that happens. I met my boyfriend's doppelganger, but I think he saved my friend from being robbed. I believe I met my boyfriend's double a few years ago, when I was 19. I still lived with my parents. My best friend and my boyfriend lived in the same town, an hour away but in different areas. My best friend invited me over to spend the night, so I did. I always slept on the couch in the living room in her little apartment. My best friend always made sure to lock the doors and windows because her neighborhood wasn't the most safe. I would usually double check too because I slept by the front door. Around 2 a.m, I woke up to use the bathroom. I got up, went about my business, and when I came out, my boyfriend was standing in the living room. He was working night shift at the time and would usually take his break at 2 a.m. But I was shocked at how he even got into the apartment, because I knew the door was locked. He brought me a vape because I asked him to earlier that day. We talked for a bit and he seemed a bit off. It was like he was looking through me. I ended up laying back down because he said he had to go back to work. He leaned down and kissed me, but right before leaving he turned to me and said, tell sister's name or to get some more locks. It was way too easy to break into here. Then he left. I woke up in the morning and told my friend what had happened. And yes, the door was unlocked because I forgot to lock it again. Later that day, when my boyfriend woke up, he came over. I thanked him for bringing me the vape again, and he looked so confused. He told me he never left work that night, and still to this day, 3 years later, denies that he ever left work, and I believe him. So my friend went and bought a new lock for the door. Turns out about 2 weeks after this all happened, some of the apartments were robbed, but hers wasn't. Maybe it's because the double warned her to get another lock. This still creeps me out so badly to this day. How did the double know to bring me a vape? Did it know that the apartments would get robbed, and was it trying to warn my friend? I thought doubles were supposed to be evil. Why was this one good?
Thank you for listening. If you like this type of content, please consider subscribing and liking my channel, and I will see you on the next one.